Hi everybody, Mike from Harvest Outdoors here today. I'm going to take a little time here and go over the steps on caping out a deer head for a shoulder mount. I have a lot of buddies that ask me how to do it. I used to do taxidermy back in the day. I did quite a few of them. I'm just going to go over the techniques that I use. I know everybody does things a little bit differently, but this is how I do it, and it works for me. Hopefully you get something out of this and you're able to do your own. There's going to be situations when you're in the field, say you're out of state, say you are up in the mountains, and you want to get that cape off and get it the best you can back to camp without carrying a big heavy skull, and hopefully just carrying some giant horns. So let's get to it. I'm going to try to make it right to the point so it's not boring, hopefully informational. So let's do it. First thing you're going to have to do is get the cape itself off of the animal. And this I get asked all the time. Where do I make the cuts on the deer? Here's where I do it. Right here, I make a cut all the way around the deer. You can go midsection, is fine. But if you get 4 to 6 inches behind that shoulder, you're good to go. And then down here, right above the knee, I cut around the front legs. You'll have sufficient hide right there for doing what you need to do. There's going to be 4 measurements that you'll take when you remove this cape off the carcass, and those measurements are going to coincide with ordering a form. So we'll go over those as we get into this here. I'm just going to go over a few tools that I'm going to use here. This is probably something you don't have. It's a plus to have it, but if you don't, if you have a good sharp knife, a good sharp razor blade knife. But you can get these, you can go on Amazon, and these are actually scalpels. I use the number 22. You can get different handles for them. I like the thicker one because I got the big sausage fingers and I don't like little skinny tools. So I go with that. And the number 22 blades is what works out. It's got a little curved end on it, and it works out the best for me. Also, just a regular screwdriver for getting the hide away from the antler burr. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. Depends how dry it is around the antler burr. So let's get into it here. We're going to be using a cape that's been previously taken off of the deer by one of our members. Let's see how Paul did. Here's what you're starting out with. Pretty basic. He made the cuts where he needed to make the cuts around the deer. Got it off. He left quite a bit of neck on here for one reason only, and that's because he didn't take the measurements that we need around the neck, so he left it for me to deal with. Our first measurement is going to be from the tear duct to the tip of the nose here. And I use a calipers, which gives you the most accurate measurement. But if you don't have a calipers and you just need to measure straight across like so, I mean, that'll get you within reason. But I run with the caliper, hook it in the tear duct, touch the tip of the nose, pull it out, and then I measure tip to tip here, and we have, this one here is 7.5 inches. So that's our first measurement, measurement A. I just mark them down, A, B, C, D, fill in the blank. 7.5 inches. That's the eye to nose measurement. I highly recommend when you're doing this, it's not a necessity. When I was doing this for a living, it was a good practice to use rubber gloves when you're working on these. Number one is so when lunchtime rolls around, you don't have this all over your fingers when you got to eat your sandwich. That and it keeps. So it's not a big deal. I mean, these are cheap, throwaway. We know the whole story. First thing we're going to start out with is cutting around the mouth. We work our way down like this here when you start out. So I'm going to be standing up when I do this. I'm going to try to zoom the camera down in here so you can get a better look at it. All right, so we're going to put a nice fresh blade on the scalpel here. That's kind of, I usually go through like 2 blades on doing one of these here. I mean, you'll do more damage with a dull blade than you could even imagine doing with a sharp blade. So I take the nose, lift it up, and right above the teeth right here, make a cut. And then I follow all the way along the side here, down the side, right above the jawbone. You can see little bumps on the lip here. I stay just below them. Let's make a cut. Same thing down the other side. If you're wondering how close to the skin do I get, if you haven't done a lot of these, my suggestion is stay away from the skin, especially around the face, man. You don't want to get holes in this skin right here to have to repair, because more likely than not, it's going to be visible on the mount. I mean, if you do, it's not the end of the world, but it's close. So you got the cartilage for the nose right here. And like I said, I stay close to the bone. And you can see on this side here as I cut, a lot of meat on here yet. I'm doing that on purpose. Use your non-dominant hand to be your guide. Okay, you can see right here, this is skin. So I am right to the outer part of the skin there. This is what's left of the cartilage here. There, past the nose. Should look something like this. And once you get to the bridge of the nose here, there is no meat. So you are right to the skin. The bottom lip, I just grab it and pull it out, and you can see right where the skin touches the jawbone here. You can follow the jawbone. The chin itself has a lot of meat on it. And then here too, you're going to follow where the skin meets the bone. Same thing on this side. Pull with the non-dominant hand as you go. Okay, now when you get to the back corner here, you can see this lip material goes way back in there. You can stop right here. And you can see we're to the skin right here. So now at this point, we're away from all the delicate things, the nose, the lips. So at this point, we're going to be basically following the skin. We're not going to leave a bunch of meat on there. I find that instead of taking a knife and just cutting right down in there like you're carving some steak, if you use the side of the blade, so like I'm holding this out right here, if you take and pretty much like you're scraping, that works really good. You cut a lot less holes in the hide. The blades don't seem to last as long when you do that, but let me tell you, a 15-cent blade is well worth sacrificing instead of doing repairs on the hide later. You do what works best for you, but yeah, this is what works best for me. And like I said, the bridge of the nose here, yes, there is no room for error on there, but it's not that big of a deal. You just keep pulling. You can see right here where the skin is attached to the bone. And, you know, if you want to just take your time and whittle around, you got to remember, now you're working on the trophy that you probably spent all year scouting and planning and hunting, and now this is what you've been waiting for. So to be in a hurry to do this is senseless. You got nowhere else to go now. Mission accomplished. Get all the photos taken, take hundreds of photos. Everybody likes to see that on social media, including myself. All right, then you're gonna get to a point where you just can't go anymore. It's like trying to pull a sock up over your knee. It ain't working. Go as far as you can. Usually right about to the tear duct is as far as you can go from this angle here. And that's where I'm at right now. Right there is the tear duct. So I'm gonna stop right there. And there we go. I'm gonna flip that back over like we were never there. This step right here, it's done different ways, 2 different ways that I know of. Number 1 is guys will make a cut, antler burr to antler burr, and then one right down the center all the way down to the end of the hide. Makes it easy to do the skinning around the neck and the ears. But when it comes to mounting it, now you have sewing from top to bottom. And if you got a heavy coat, like this one really does not. This one was shot in end of October, and it doesn't have its winter coat yet here. But I mean, if you have thick hair, the sewing gets hidden easily. I'm going to show you the technique that I use here. Right, the technique that I use is called the shortcut technique. I'll make a cut from antler burr to antler burr, and then from one antler burr, doesn't matter which side, I'm going to go from this antler burr, make an angle towards the center here, and then down just past the ear butts and stop. That's called the shortcut technique. I do wet the hair down right there because it's easier to part. See that? You can get right down to the skin. If you cut a couple hairs, it's not the end of the world. Especially you got a lot up by the skull plate here. It's usually pretty thick. So I'm gonna make my cut, antler burr, move the hairs out of the way, make a line through there for myself. I'm gonna cut right down to the bone, right down to the skull plate. A little more water in there. All right, there we are, antler burr to antler burr, right down to the skull plate. Okay, now I'm gonna make my shortcut here. Basically the number 7 is what it ends up looking like here. Right where I started by the antler burr. Move some hair out of the way. Come over towards the center of the skull plate. I'm center right there. And now I'm gonna turn and head straight down the spine. Okay, so I'm just past the ear butt right here. I went a little further, no big deal. So that's what we got right there. There's our number 7. I think self-explanatory, I don't have to keep showing it, but now we have to work on getting this hide around the side of the head here. two things. You can start up here, you lift up. Right here is where the hide meets the antler burr. You can inch your scalpel around like that. Take little bites at a time. It's usually a technique that I like. Feel like I have more control. Or I've done it this way too. If this is either freezer burned, or if a guy hauled it a long ways on a trailer, say like from the great state of Nebraska, and it's like beef jerky, you can take the screwdriver and work it right around. Works good too. You'll eventually have to come back here and cut some of the hide as you go. Pull on the hide and just work the screwdriver in there. Pretty much like a pry bar. All right, and you won't cut holes in the hide using the screwdriver. Now we're gonna work down around the ear butts here. Pull with your non-dominant hand here. You know, make him earn his keep too. You can see all I have is skin here. Not big chunks of meat. And the reason for that is I was always the guy that had to remove those chunks of meat then later. Just added a lot of extra time to what you were doing. So just pull, and where you see the skin still attached to the meat there, that white membrane, just cut into it. Right there, white membrane, chop, chop, chop. I'm taking the scalpel and working around the back here. You can follow the antler base right up. Really simple if you've done hundreds of them before. You know how it is. Looks easy till you try it for the first time. Now you can see right here, we have the ear butt, both sides. That's gonna prevent you from being able to skin much farther than what we are right now. We'd be able to get around the antler base right here a little more, but it's gonna start pulling this down on you and preventing you from doing it anymore. So here's what you do. So you got the ear right here. You can see where it's attached back and forth. And what you wanna do is try to follow the skull plate. So this here, you're gonna cut right through the meat. You can see the ears falling down already. Doing what you want it to do. You're gonna hit bone, we're on bone there. You're gonna end up going through the ear canal. You went on a commercial mount, you're gonna be good with that. Competition mount, you probably want the whole ear canal attached. But I mean, in these ears here, I mean, I'm down in there where my cut is. I'm down in there, I don't know, 2.5 inches. You'll never see that on the mount. A little different maybe on an early season deer where the hair, they don't have much hair on the ears. But right there, I don't know if you can see that. Right there is the ear canal. About the size of a pencil where I cut through. So now I'm gonna finish going around the antler burr here. Boom, done. Done with the screwdriver there on that side. And same thing here. Pull with one hand, cut with the other. Just pay attention to the color of the skin. I mean, when it's white, you're by the skin. When it's red, you're by the meat. Not real complicated, but it gets complicated when you start cutting holes through the hide. Unless you're not the one repairing them. All right, so there we go. We got the ear removed from the skull. I'm gonna flip over and do the other side. This one here feels like it might be frozen a little bit, so that's gonna create a challenge. Okay, now we are around the antler burr. The ear butts are removed from the skull. To this point, other than around the mouth and the nose, which is a delicate area, this is probably the most important, around the eyes. The eyes have very little hair around them. I mean, it can be repaired if you cut a hole through it, but you don't get the same quality as one that doesn't have holes in it. So here's what we got. We got the eye right here, so I'm gonna take my thumb and I can stick it underneath the skin right here. And you can see I pull it up. I'm gonna stay as far away as possible. You can see the skin is pulling right here. I don't know, can we see that? Let's see, zoom in maybe, huh? Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, so right here is the eye socket, hard bone. And the skin is attached right here to the eye socket. Keep your thumb in the eye right here. I'm cutting right here. See this? This is eye socket. Right below it is the skin going in behind the eye socket. You got to work your way around all of this. Keep it loose so you can keep moving. Then at one point here, it's going to pop through. And if you cut into the eye itself, no big deal. Just fluid's going to come out. That's why you got the gloves on, so you can still eat your sandwich in a while here. So I am just about to the tear duct here, and I'm getting all ginched up here. See, I can't, I'm struggling. I'm going to try forcing it. Last thing you want to do is just force something. And the reason why it's tight there is because this other side is still attached. All right, let's get back to it here. Basically, I'm doing the same thing as the other side. Real important on these eyes that skin stays attached to the hide here, the eye skin, because during the mounting process, that skin, that membrane, will get tucked into the mannequin in the eye socket, and that's what holds everything in place along with the adhesive. So I'm going to try to turn this but right here, now we're down to the tear duct on this side. I stick my finger right in the eye there. Here's the eye socket. Get this over here. This is important. So the important stuff we got to fine tune it here. Okay. So right here, tear duct. Right here, eye socket. I'm going to put my finger right in the eyeball hole here. Here's the membrane going inside the eye. Cut that, both sides. You can see this membrane right here. Try to keep that with it. Grab it and pull it out as much as you can. All right, now we're clear of the eye socket. Right here is the tear duct. And that you're going to follow pretty much bone right down. If you put a hole in the bottom of the tear duct, way at the very bottom, that's not a big deal. A lot of times I'll cut a hole in that on purpose when I mount it, because adhesive, the hide paste, will pool up inside there, and then that gives it an outlet when you're pushing everything in. So there we are. We're clear of the eye socket. Didn't put a hole in it, so that's a good one. I'll flip it over to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, now right here I made it down to the area that I had skinned previously from the mouth up. So now I can stick my whole hand right through there. We're clear. So that's all loose. Next thing we're going to do here is we are going to remove the antlers. We're going to remove the antlers from the skull. Use a Sawzall for that. The cut is critical, but not difficult. You can do it with a handsaw. We've done it plenty of times out in the field. We've had guys do it with their tree saw. It works too. But we're going to use a Sawzall only because we have one. So let me go and get that because I was not prepared with the Sawzall. I don't think, no. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, we're back. So now we're going to make a cut about a 1/2 inch down from this antler burr, straight across. We're going to go down the side to about right here, and then we'll be cutting the skull plate pretty much on a 90-degree angle from the first cut right here. So I wanted to show you that because it might be hard to see once I start cutting here. So the reason why we did all this skinning right here is to get this out of the way. So because we did the shortcut technique, this part becomes a little more difficult, because normally if you're going to do that cut all the way down the back, all the way to the end of the hide, and open it up like a coat, then all you have is the skinned skull with the horns on, and you can just lay it on the table and whack and done. Now you just got to be a little more careful, but we skinned it plenty here. So I tuck this inside there like that. The skin from the ears, I tuck that inside. Now that gives us an open window right here to run the Sawzall. So I'm going to lay this down and try to get the camera positioned here, so bear with me. It'd help to have a cameraman, but everybody has a job and they're working. So I'm sitting in the nice warm shop. These guys are out there just battling it. Everybody on the Harvest Outdoor team has a outside job. They work either on construction or construction. They all work on construction. So everybody's outside today. Got a high temperature of 9 degrees. I feel sorry for them, but really not that much. I did it my whole life too, so pay your dues, boys. All right, let's get this thing off of here. All right, so I'm about a 1/2 inch below the antler burr. I want to cut straight down, 90-degree angle from the bridge of the nose. You can see how far I cut right there. You can see how far I cut down this side right here. Pretty much to the bottom of the eye socket. So what works for me is to get this kind of started on a 90-degree angle of the skull plate, just to get the cut started. Okay, cut is started. So what you want to pay attention to is that this blade clears the antler burr, otherwise you're rebuilding antlers. good to go there. And they're off. Now, once you remove the antlers from the skull right there, you're gonna have some brain matter here. This is what you want. You want to make sure you get rid of this, especially if you're hunting out of state or you're going to be transporting this deer. You don't want it in there anyways, but I'm just pointing that out. That's one of the main things, is to get rid of that. I take a paper towel, cover that up, pull the hide back over the top of it, unfold everything, put it back over, tuck the paper towel down inside there, boom. I mean, I don't know if I really need to explain this, but you got meat on the skull plate here with the antlers. Cut all of that off, as much of it as you can. You should be able to get all of it off. I'm just going to set that to the side. So here's what we got now. Got our shortcut. This is all skinned pretty much back to here. So now we need to get this section off right here. Now we're going to find out how Paul did. Usually does a good job. I'm going to take this hide now and fold it up over. All right. So Paul did do an exceptional job. You can see he's got hide. Got a little meat on here, but we'll run this on the fleshing beam and that'll come off easily. Good job, Paul. All right, so now we're gonna turn this thing inside out like we're pulling off a sock. So it's gonna look basically like that. You got the neck in there, and you're gonna pull this hide down around. And again, you can see where the skin meets the meat right there. Just pull, cut. Now when you take this, when you take this off the deer, when you take the hide off the deer, where you're gonna run into problems with having a lot of meat on there is you're just grabbing the hide and just ripping her off, you know. But if you're planning on having the thing mounted, take your time, get it like Paul's got right here, and that'll make life so much easier for everybody. Again, I'm using the side of the blade. Works really nice. I mean, surprisingly, I'm still on the same blade here. I'm trying to save that 15 cents. Doing a good job at it so far. Because right now I really don't have anything delicate that I'm going to be cutting around, so I'm going to get it so far and you're not going to be able to go anymore. So then you're going to have to flip her over. And just keep going back and forth, side to side. Just keep working it up there. This deer I'm skinning out here for Paul, he shot in Iowa this year. Might be on one of the videos here coming up, I don't know. But him and I spent months last spring out in Iowa. We drew the coveted Iowa tag. Had everything dialed in, and then had vacation scheduled to be out there for 2 to 3 weeks. And both of us punched our tag within the second day. Oh, we had itchy trigger fingers. We should have shot something in Wisconsin before we went out there. I mean, we shot decent bucks. But in the land of giant expectations, I don't know. We might still be sitting out there waiting. So it's not about the size of the rack, I guess, or how big the rack is. It's more of how big is the man standing behind it. All right, worked our way up to the paper towel that we stuck in there. If you have a really big deer, I mean, you got lots of skin there, and it'll pull right over the top right at this point. I'm up over the saw cuts here. All right, so I'm over the top of the saw cuts. Now I just have the bottom of the neck here down to the chin. And like I said, you know, if you can keep that meat off of there, boy, it saves a lot of time for the taxidermist. Or yourself. I mean, if this is something you need to get salted, you got some warm weather, man, the more meat you have off of there, the better that salt penetration is. It's the difference between a quality mount in the end or just something you're going to throw in the garage in about a year. We don't want a garage deer. We want one that hangs in the living room next to all the home interior decorations. Oh, we're getting close. You probably can see that if you're using your hunting knife or a utility knife, it's not going to work as nice as having this small blade. I know you can get Haviland type blades, replaceable blades. Them are excellent. You can get pretty much the same type of blade for that. So, little plug for Haviland, I guess. But they deserve it. They're a good blade. And there you go. She's off. I'm going to set this hide to the side. And now we're going to go over the last 3 measurements we got to take. Right here is where the jawbone meets the neck. We're gonna, if you don't have a fabric ruler, you can take a piece of string and do this and then lay the string on top of a rigid ruler and get the same measurement. But because I have all this high-tech equipment here, we're going with this. So the first measurement, you're going to go right here where the jawbone meets the neck, and you're going to go on an angle over this muscle, about like so. 22 inches where they touch. So that's your next measurement, B, 22 inches. Now your next measurement will be straight across where the jawbone meets the neck and right where the spine starts by the skull. I keep it fairly loose because the meat will really move. And we got 18 and a half. That's measurement C. Last measurement, we're gonna go right across here. I go about, you can see this muscle where it starts right here, it goes back. I go back about 4 or 5 inches. And that one ends up being 23 and a half. Last measurement. So there we have it. Those are the measurements we'd need to order a form for this. And if you're going to do this in the field or at home and you're taking it to the taxidermist, these are the measurements he's going to want. He can take the hide and lay it out and measure it that way, but those hides can stretch quite a bit. This is the most accurate measurement, is to go right off of the carcass itself. You get too big of a form and you put that hide on there, it's going to stretch and the eyes are going to pop out on that form, or it's going to look like the deer seeing a ghost. So yeah, A, B, C, D, 7.5, 22, 18.5, 23.5, which is a pretty decent deer. So good job, Paul. So there you have it. That's the caping process. Next, I'm gonna turn the lips, the nose, the eyes, the ears, and then put it on the fleshing beam. I don't know if that's something you want to do, but if you get it to the point that we have it right now, you can get it to your taxidermist or a tannery. Now, a tannery will turn the lips, nose, eyes, and ears for you also at a cost, which is usually not too painful. But if you can get it to that point, you're good to go. So I will do another video here on turning the lips, nose, eyes, and ears and running it on the fleshing beam. And we'll keep that separate because this ended up going a little longer than I thought. But normally doing what we did right here will take you about, if you take your time, hour and a half. Depends how many breaks you take in between. How experienced you are with skinning a deer. So I hope this helps out. And from everybody at Harvest Outdoors, thanks for watching. Hopefully it helps you here in the future, and keep watching out for the new videos coming out. Michael just put a new one out here. Wisconsin swamp buck, the swamper deer that he harvested with the bow this year, which is some good stuff. The rest of the guys had a epic season. One guy shot his biggest buck to date, and he's almost as old as me, so yeah. And a couple other real dandies. Hopefully we can put the videos together for those and get them out to you. And for myself, I like watching them. As for now, over and out. Going to have my sandwich now. Ha!